If you're past 60, this one sweet, juicy habit could silently increase your odds of having a stroke overnight, with no signs, no warnings, and no pain. You go to bed feeling perfectly fine, and by morning, your words are jumbled, your coordination is off, or one side of your body just won't respond. As a neurologist, I've witnessed far too many older individuals experience strokes they never anticipated, not due to smoking, greasy meals, or inactivity, but from something they believed was beneficial. Fruit. Yes, fruit. Every day, countless seniors consume fruit, convinced it's good for their heart, brain, and digestion. And while many types of fruit can aid in graceful aging, certain ones, especially if eaten in the wrong way or in excess, can quietly do damage. They raise your blood sugar, dehydrate brain cells, or dangerously interfere with medications. And the worst part is, no one ever mentions it. Today I'll take you through 9 popular fruits that may be increasing your chances of stroke, memory loss, or even brain hemorrhage, especially if you're over 60. Have you ever thought that your healthy habits might be working against you? If you have, you need to hear this. It could seriously protect your life. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I suggest you press that button and tap the bell so you won't miss another important health update made just for you. If you find this video valuable, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I know how to better serve you. First, bananas. An overload of potassium, too quickly. As a specialist in brain health, I've seen numerous surprising strokes, but few things trouble me more than the innocent routines that silently end in tragedy. And bananas, surprisingly, are one of those hidden risks. You've probably been told forever bananas are a great snack. They're soft, digestible, full of potassium, and even promoted as heart-friendly. For younger adults, that might be true. But once you're past 60, your body changes, particularly in how your kidneys, heart, and blood vessels manage sudden shifts in electrolytes like potassium. Let me break this down. As we get older, kidney function naturally declines. They don't filter waste as effectively, especially if you already struggle with high blood pressure, diabetes, or take common medications such as ACE inhibitors or diuretics. That means potassium, found abundantly in bananas, can begin accumulating in your bloodstream. And what does that lead to? Your heart rhythm becomes unstable, your blood vessels constrict, and worst of all, blood clots can form where blood should flow freely. In your brain, one clot can shut everything down in seconds. I'll never forget one of my patients, Mr. Raymond, 66, a retired woodworker from Ohio. He stayed active, had a sharp mind, and valued eating well. Each morning, he'd slice a banana over his oats and take his blood pressure medicine with orange juice. It was his daily routine for over a year. But one morning, his wife found him collapsed in the bathroom. His left side was paralyzed. His speech was incoherent. At the ER, scans confirmed a small but damaging stroke. His potassium levels were dangerously elevated, disrupting his heart's rhythm and causing a clot to form while he slept. He had no clue that just 2 bananas a day, when mixed with his meds, were pushing his system into danger. Here's something most older adults are never told. You simply don't need that much potassium, not from pills, not from multiple servings of fruit, and certainly not all at once. One large banana contains over 450 milligrams of potassium. That's enough to disturb your internal balance, especially if your kidneys aren't working optimally. If you eat that banana at night, when circulation slows, hydration drops, and your medication is still active, it creates the perfect storm. Hardened arteries, thickened blood, and a clot that might leave no second chances. So, what's the best move if you're over 60, especially if you're taking heart or blood pressure meds? Limit yourself to half a banana a day, eaten in the morning, and always with some protein like Greek yogurt or a handful of nuts to slow its absorption. Avoid banana shakes, banana pastries, and definitely steer clear of eating them before bedtime. But above all, speak with your doctor about how potassium-heavy foods might interact with the medications you're taking. your life could truly depend on it. Because here's the reality. What used to be good for your health may no longer be safe, not without understanding the bigger picture. And if learning this about bananas took you by surprise, wait until you find out what grapes, yes, those little sweet ones, might be doing to your blood sugar, brain circulation, and your risk of quiet inflammation. What I'm about to reveal in the next part could change the way you snack for good. If you're still tuned in and finding this useful, leave a number 1 in the comments so I know you're following along. Now, let's move on to the second point. 2. Grapes. Tiny bites of sugar overload. Grapes. Sweet, juicy, and refreshing. A snack that feels as harmless as a soft spring breeze. You see them on fruit trays, in your breakfast bowl, or as a treat after lunch with the grandkids. But what if I told you that for over 60, especially people with subtle blood vessel problems or erratic blood sugar, grapes could silently spark a stroke? It's easy to overlook the fact that grapes are basically concentrated sugar inside a fragile skin. Each small grape might seem innocent, but even a small handful, especially the super sweet, seedless types commonly sold in American stores, can cause a rush of glucose and fructose to hit your bloodstream all at once. And for aging brains and arteries, that spike can be very costly. As we grow older, the body becomes less capable of managing sugar efficiently. The insulin response slows, blood vessels become more delicate, and when sugar surges too quickly, it doesn't just strain the pancreas, it also causes inflammation within the sensitive lining of your blood vessels, including those that feed the brain. Once those arteries are inflamed, they begin to harden and narrow. Over time, tiny tears can form in the vessel walls, and those are the exact spots where blood clots can start. You won't feel it happening. Your regular checkups may not catch it, but your body could be quietly setting the stage for a silent stroke. Let me share the story of Eleanor Brooks, an 80-year-old retired teacher from Missouri. She believed in living clean. No sodas, no processed meals, always fresh fruit. Her go-to late morning snack? A big bowl of red grapes. She'd nibble on them while reading or watching the news, sometimes eating nearly 2 cups in one sitting without giving it a second thought. Then one morning, she noticed her vision blur while writing a birthday card. Moments later, her hand began to shake and she couldn't recall how to spell the word congratulations. Her daughter rushed her to the ER, worried it might be a stroke. And that's exactly what it was, a transient ischemic attack or mini stroke caused by a clot that briefly stopped blood flow to part of her brain. Her lab results showed dramatic sugar spikes around lunchtime. Her A1C, a measure of long-term blood sugar levels, had quietly drifted into the pre-diabetic range, something she had never imagined. Even more concerning was the persistent, low-level inflammation in her blood vessels, most likely made worse by years of eating sugary fruit without any protein or fiber to slow the effects. Here's what you need to realize. Even foods that are usually considered healthy can turn harmful if you don't look at the full context. When you're past 60, when you eat and what you eat it with becomes just as important as the food itself. Grapes are digested quickly. They send sugar racing through your bloodstream, and if you eat them alone, especially if you're slightly dehydrated or under stress, your body responds by thickening your blood, narrowing your vessels, and increasing the chance of clotting. You won't notice anything the first time, but day after day, week after week, the damage builds until one day it all comes crashing down. That's why I now advise my older patients, never eat grapes on an empty stomach. Don't eat them by the bowl full either. Instead, pair them with something rich in protein, like a handful of almonds or a slice of cheese, and keep the portion small. Ideally, eat them earlier in the day, when your body is more active and better able to process the sugar. And if you're managing diabetes or taking blood pressure medication, it may be best to avoid grapes entirely, unless your physician gives you the green light. Because what seems like a harmless treat could over time quietly steal your coordination, impair your memory, or even jeopardize your independence. Speaking of deceptively sweet dangers, there's a
3. Pineapple.
A risky blend of acid and sugar. Pineapple often feels like a sunny escape in fruit form, sweet, tangy, and bursting with tropical flavor. Many seniors enjoy it after dinner, believing it to be a wholesome, enzyme-rich treat that helps with digestion. But what many don't realize, and what deeply concerns me as a neurologist, is how this fruit can become a hidden risk for stroke, especially when eaten late in the day or in the wrong health context. Pineapple contains an enzyme called bromelain, known to help break down proteins. In moderation, bromelain may aid digestion, but in larger quantities, particularly when combined with certain medications, it can interfere with blood clotting, reduce the function of platelets, and lead to unexpected bleeding or clot formation. For individuals over 60, whose blood vessels are more delicate and whose metabolism slows with age, that imbalance can become dangerous. Then there's the sugar content. Just 1 cup of pineapple has more than 16 grams of natural sugar, enough to rapidly elevate blood glucose levels. And unlike lower glycemic fruits like apples or berries, pineapple ranks high, meaning its sugars are absorbed quickly into the bloodstream. When consumed at night, this sugar spike is rarely used for energy. Instead, it circulates through your system, placing strain on your arteries while you sleep. But the most overlooked danger is its acidity. Pineapple is among the most acidic fruits found in a typical American diet. It can inflame the esophagus, trigger silent reflux, and in some seniors, this happens without any noticeable heartburn. Instead, it may lead to tiny amounts of stomach acid being aspirated while sleeping, causing airway pressure fluctuations which reduce oxygen to the brain during rest. This has been linked to early morning strokes, the most dangerous type. I once treated a woman named Mrs. Carol Whitman, a 77-year-old retired choir teacher from Georgia. She was lively, sharp, and devoted to healthy eating. She'd given up processed sweets and replaced them with a few slices of fresh pineapple every evening after dinner. This was her daily habit for over a year. One morning, Carol awoke feeling groggy and disoriented. Her daughter noticed she was slurring her words and wobbling when she tried to walk. At the ER, a CT scan revealed a small stroke in the posterior region of her brain, the area responsible for balance and coordination. Her blood work showed elevated glucose levels, signs of nighttime reflux, and unusual platelet behavior. The root cause wasn't just one thing, but a combination: acidic fruit, sugar spikes, and bromelain's influence on clotting. A routine she thought was helping her digestion had instead triggered a chain reaction that nearly cost her her independence. Carol's case is not unique. In older adults, digestion slows, blood vessels thin, and sleep becomes more vulnerable. When you mix in acidic, sugary fruit at night, you increase the chance that your blood vessels constrict during rest, precisely when the brain is most susceptible. And yes, in certain conditions, this leads to clot formation without warning, setting the stage for a stroke during the night. So what should you do? If you enjoy pineapple, eat it earlier in the day. Keep the serving size small, and never consume it on an empty stomach. Avoid combining it with blood-thinning medications unless your healthcare provider approves. And above all, don't eat it before going to bed. Your brain needs consistency and calm while you sleep, not surprises. Because at this age, even a fruit can tip the scales in the wrong direction. If learning this about pineapple caught you off guard, wait until you hear about watermelon. It's often praised for its hydration benefits, but in certain circumstances, it may actually be dehydrating your brain and lowering your blood pressure to dangerously low levels. Let's talk about how something so watery can actually become a hidden danger. If you're still with me and finding these insights helpful, leave a number 1 in the comments to let me know you're here. Now, let's keep moving forward with tip number 4. So, if watermelon is one of your favorites, make sure you enjoy it with care. Eat it earlier in the day, and always combine it with something that supports hydration, like a pinch of salt or some coconut water to restore electrolytes. If you're taking diuretics, check with your healthcare provider before making watermelon a regular part of your routine. And above all, pay attention to how your body feels. Waking up dizzy, having a dry mouth overnight, or feeling disoriented in the morning, these are not signs to ignore.
They are subtle warnings, gentle signals that even a fruit made up of 90% water can quietly undermine your brain's health. And what's truly troubling is that you often don't feel the effects until it's too late. Now, if this caught you off guard, wait until you learn the truth about a fruit that's practically the poster child for a healthy breakfast, the bright and cheerful orange. But behind that cheerful color hides a natural compound that can interfere with both heart and
5. Oranges. Citrus and medication clashes. For generations, oranges have been a symbol of vitality in American homes. A tall glass of juice at breakfast, a bowl of fresh orange segments on the kitchen table, or a festive orange tucked into a holiday stocking. They've always been seen as wholesome, loaded with immunity-boosting vitamin C. But for older adults, especially those managing heart conditions or high blood pressure, oranges can become more than just a source of sugar. They can act like a chemical trigger that disrupts how the body handles medication, increasing the risk of serious complications like blood clots or stroke. And the concern isn't only the sugar content. While one large orange or a serving of juice can raise blood sugar significantly, the real threat lies in a natural substance called furanocoumarin, which is found in citrus fruits. Most seniors have never even heard of it. Furanocoumarin can alter how your body metabolizes certain medications, especially statins, calcium channel blockers, and anticoagulants. This means your liver might not break down the drugs correctly. As a result, medication may build up to toxic levels or get cleared out too quickly, reducing its effectiveness. These imbalances don't cause immediate symptoms, but over time, they can silently create the perfect conditions for blood to become unstable. Your arteries may constrict unpredictably, or tiny clots may form and travel to critical areas like the brain, all without warning. As a neurologist, I've treated many patients who unknowingly put themselves at risk by combining healthy fruit with prescription drugs. One such case was Mr. Samuel Greer, a 79-year-old retired school bus driver from Alabama. A gentle man, always smiling, Samuel had been prescribed atorvastatin to manage his cholesterol, along with amlodipine for his blood pressure. He also followed a clean, natural diet. Every morning, Samuel began his day with a tall glass of freshly squeezed orange juice, what he liked to call his morning sunshine. But he had no idea that the furanocoumarin in that juice was blocking his liver's ability to process his medications. As a result, the blood pressure medication built up in his bloodstream, amplifying its effects. Meanwhile, the statin accumulated in his muscles and blood, heightening inflammation and putting added stress on his vascular system. After experiencing several days of mild dizziness, Samuel collapsed while standing up from his armchair. In the emergency room, doctors noted he had slurred speech and was struggling to stay alert. Imaging confirmed a small ischemic stroke, and blood work revealed elevated levels of both medications. But Samuel hadn't taken an overdose. The problem was the orange juice. It had interfered with his liver's ability to metabolize his prescriptions. His blood became chemically unstable, moving erratically through his system. A clot formed and blocked a small artery in his brain. When I explained the cause to Samuel and his wife, they were speechless. "I thought orange juice was supposed to help me," he said. And once it probably did. But the aging body changes. What's beneficial at age 40 may not be safe at 70 or 80, especially when prescription drugs are involved. That's why grapefruit, Seville oranges, and even regular navel oranges, when eaten consistently, must be carefully monitored by seniors on medication. The liver slows with age, its filtering efficiency decreases, and the risk of food-drug interactions increases significantly the older we get. For individuals over the age of 60, I now advise limiting orange consumption and avoiding combining them with medications unless a doctor has approved it. If you enjoy citrus, consider safer alternatives like clementines, or add just a splash of juice to water instead of drinking full glasses. And if you're on any prescriptions, consult your physician to check if citrus might be interfering with their effectiveness. Because here's the reality. It's not only what's inside your pill organizer that affects your health. It's also what's sitting in your fruit basket. A single, well-intentioned habit, repeated day after day, can quietly steer your brain towards serious harm. If that makes you uneasy, it should. But don't panic. Knowledge gives you control. By adjusting when and how you eat certain fruits, you can significantly lower your risk. And if you thought oranges were the only common fruit with a hidden downside, stay with me. The next fruit is one that's praised for digestive benefits, commonly served in hospitals, and even recommended for energy. Yet it may be slowly damaging your nervous system. Let's discuss apples and the overlooked sugar trap they can create. 6. Apples, the hidden sugar pitfall. Apples, the classic symbol of health. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. A phrase you've probably heard your whole life. With their crunchy texture and sweet flavor, apples are often handed out in clinics, packed in senior meals, and offered by grandchildren, hoping to help you stay healthy. But for older adults, especially those managing blood sugar, hypertension, or cognitive decline, apples may not be as innocent as they seem. In fact, eating the wrong type of apple at the wrong time may quietly increase your stroke risk by destabilizing blood sugar and putting pressure on your blood vessels. Here's why. Not all apples are the same. Although apples do offer some fiber and antioxidants, many popular American varieties like Fuji, Honeycrisp, and Gala have been cultivated for maximum sugar, not maximum nutrition. These varieties have a high glycemic load, meaning they release sugar into your bloodstream rapidly, often too quickly for an aging metabolism to process efficiently. If you eat these apples by themselves, without pairing them with protein or healthy fat, you may trigger a sudden spike in blood sugar, followed by a rapid drop. This cycle doesn't just affect your energy. It can raise your blood pressure, increase blood vessel inflammation, and make your blood thicker. When your sugar levels surge, your insulin spikes, and your blood becomes more acidic and sticky. Over time, this stresses the delicate lining inside your arteries, including those that supply your brain. Tiny tears can form, and when they do, your body attempts to repair them by forming blood clots. For younger people, this repair system is flexible and efficient. But for seniors with narrower, less elastic arteries, those clots can become dangerous, waiting for the right conditions to trigger a stroke. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Mrs. Evelyn Carter, age 81, from Pennsylvania. She had been in good health for most of her life. She walked daily, took her prescribed medications faithfully, and believed her diet was clean. Every afternoon, she'd enjoy a large Honeycrisp apple as a snack. No junk food, no processed sugar, just fruit. But what she didn't realize was that she was also insulin resistant. That daily flood of sugar was quietly overwhelming her aging blood vessels. Over time, she began to notice her vision becoming a bit blurry in the evenings and occasional pressure in her head when standing up. Then, one night, while preparing dinner, Evelyn suddenly couldn't speak properly. Her daughter rushed her to the emergency room, where doctors confirmed she had suffered a minor stroke. Her blood tests revealed unstable glucose levels and early signs of inflammation in her arteries. Though her medications were doing their job, those daily sugar surges had been silently paving the way for vascular damage. And yes, a clot had formed, likely during one of those high sugar episodes. Evelyn made a full recovery, but she now views apples with a new level of respect, not as something harmful, but as a fruit that requires mindfulness and moderation. This is the advice I give to all my older patients. If you enjoy apples, choose them carefully. Granny Smith apples contain less sugar and offer higher amounts of brain-protective polyphenols. Always combine apples with a bit of protein or healthy fat, like a slice of cheese or some almond butter, to help slow the sugar absorption. And avoid eating sweet apples on an empty stomach, especially at night. Your brain functions best with steady, reliable energy, not sudden highs and lows, because even a fruit as seemingly innocent as an apple can beneath the surface contribute to conditions that increase stroke risk. When your blood sugar fluctuates rapidly, your vessels constrict and clot formation can begin, quietly, invisibly, until one day it's no longer silent. And if that caught you off guard, stay with me. Up next is a fruit that many older adults turn to for cardiovascular support. Deep red, loaded with antioxidants, and often promoted as a superfood. But tucked inside those vibrant skins lies a natural agent that can thin.
If you're still watching and finding this information useful, please type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're here. Now let's continue with number 7. 7. Cherries, an unexpected source of salicylates. Cherries, small, vibrant, and full of flavor, are often viewed as one of the healthiest choices in the American diet. Physicians suggest them for easing inflammation, helping with arthritis, and even supporting heart function. You'll spot them in wellness magazines, health food stores, and sprinkled across everything from breakfast bowls to desserts. But despite their positive reputation, cherries can carry a little-known risk, especially for older individuals who are on medications that affect how their blood clots. The concern lies in a naturally occurring substance in cherries called salicylates, a compound with blood-thinning properties much like aspirin. While this may be helpful in small amounts, it can be dangerous when combined with medications like Plavix, warfarin, or even low-dose aspirin. The result? Blood that is too thin to clot properly. Blood vessels become fragile, leaks may occur, and in severe cases, a hemorrhagic stroke, bleeding within the brain, can result. Most people never suspect fruit to be the culprit. It sounds unlikely, but I've witnessed it more than once. Let me tell you about Mr. Leonard Price, an 84-year-old retired train conductor from Illinois. Years ago, Leonard suffered a minor heart attack and was placed on daily aspirin therapy. He also took a statin and medication for blood pressure. After dinner, he had a small serving of cherries, his nightly treat. Nature's dessert, he'd say. He believed they helped with inflammation and kept him moving so he could enjoy time with his great-grandchildren. Initially, there were no warning signs, but after several weeks, Leonard began to experience headaches, dizziness, and occasional nausea. One morning, he woke up disoriented and began vomiting. His wife rushed him to the emergency room. A CT scan brought devastating news: a brain hemorrhage. Not due to elevated blood pressure, not from a fall, but from blood that had become too thin to clot. A tiny vessel had burst. The doctors confirmed his medications were dosed correctly and his vital signs were steady. But when reviewing his diet, the pattern emerged. The salicylates from the cherries, on top of his prescribed blood thinners, had slowly pushed his system over the edge. And that's the hidden danger. These effects creep in gradually. You feel fine until suddenly you're not. Once bleeding begins in the brain, stopping it is difficult. Recovery is uncertain. Some people lose the ability to speak. Others struggle to walk. Many never regain full independence. Here's something I wish more seniors truly grasped. Even the most natural foods can react with your medications. At 70 or 80, your body doesn't process things the same way it did at 40. A fruit that might ease post-workout soreness in a younger person could, in someone taking blood thinners, trigger a dangerous chain reaction. So if cherries are your favorite, enjoy them with intention. A small serving from time to time is likely fine, but concentrated cherry juice, extract, or large daily portions can be risky if you're taking medications that affect clotting. Always speak with your doctor before making any food a staple in your routine, especially one with medicinal effects like this deceptively sweet fruit.
Because in a body already struggling to maintain balance, even something small can tip things too far. When blood becomes overly thin, it doesn't just seep slowly, it surges, leaving damage in its path. And if you think we've covered all the surprising fruits, we're not done yet. There's one more that often shows up in elegant brunch buffets and wellness blogs, praised for antioxidants and heart benefits. But beneath its glossy surface may lie one of the highest pesticide loads in the entire produce aisle. For older adults, these toxins don't simply rinse off, they accumulate. And the harm they cause, particularly to your brain, may be much worse than you've been led to believe. Let's look more closely at strawberries and what could be hiding beneath that beautiful red shine. If you're still watching and finding this information helpful, please comment the number 1 below to let me know you're following along. Now let's continue with number 8. 8. Strawberries, pesticides, mold, and uric acid risks. They appear harmless, plump, bright red, sweet with a tangy edge. Strawberries have long been the symbol of health. You'll see them on hospital menus and antioxidant smoothies and offered at brunches in senior living centers across the country. But for aging adults, the reality of strawberries is far less charming. In fact, this beloved fruit may be quietly contributing to a higher risk of stroke, chronic inflammation, and brain toxicity, all without obvious warning signs. Let's begin with something many people don't realize. Strawberries rank among the most heavily treated crops in the U.S. farming. Each year, they top the Dirty Dozen list from the Environmental Working Group, a ranking of fruits and vegetables with the most pesticide residue even after washing. And for seniors whose liver and kidneys slow with age, those chemical residues are harder to eliminate. Instead, they accumulate in body tissues, including the brain, where they can interfere with nerve function and weaken blood vessels from within. These pesticides aren't just skin-deep irritants. Many of the compounds used on conventional strawberries are neurotoxic. They attack brain cells and increase oxidative stress in aging neurons. Over time, this leads to structural weakening of small blood vessels, especially in the brain's white matter, which is already highly vulnerable to many strokes, memory decline, and cognitive issues. When those vessels begin to break down, the body responds by creating inflammation and, yes, blood clots, raising the risk for ischemic stroke. But the danger doesn't end there. Strawberries also contain purines, natural substances that convert into uric acid during digestion. For seniors dealing with gout, kidney strain, or blood vessel inflammation, purines can spark inflammation that tightens arteries, raises blood pressure, and again encourages clot development. Let me share the story of one of my patients, Mrs. Jeanette Wallace, an 80-year-old retiree from Michigan. Jeanette adored strawberries. She picked them every June, froze batches for winter, and enjoyed a small bowl after dinner, convinced they were good for her. She had mild high blood pressure, was prescribed a diuretic, and occasionally dealt with joint pain. Over time, she noticed more frequent morning dizziness and swelling in her joints that never fully resolved. Then one morning, she woke up tingling in her right hand and garbled speech. Her daughter took her to the emergency room, where scans confirmed a small ischemic stroke. Her lab work revealed elevated uric acid, signs of oxidative stress, and low-grade inflammation, evidence of a slow, simmering process likely fueled by years of exposure to pesticide residues and excess purines. Her daily strawberry routine, which she believed was supporting her well-being, had unknowingly become a quiet, consistent source of danger. And yes, a clot did form, one her aging system could no longer dissolve on its own. She survived, but now she experiences occasional memory lapses and nerve tingling in her right hand. When she looked at me, tears in her eyes, and said, "I thought I was doing everything right," it reminded me how essential context becomes in nutrition as we age. Because even so-called superfoods can turn harmful in the wrong body at the wrong time under the wrong conditions. So what can you do if you enjoy strawberries? First, always choose organic every time. Wash them thoroughly, don't make them a daily habit, and never rely on them as your primary antioxidant source. If you suffer from gout, kidney issues, or are on blood pressure medications, speak to your doctor before incorporating strawberries into your regular meal plan. And be especially cautious with frozen varieties, particularly those found in pre-made smoothies. These often come from bulk imports grown under looser safety regulations. Because what you don't know can slowly, quietly harm you until one day a clot robs you of your speech, your balance, or even your independence. And if strawberries surprised you, just wait until you learn about a fruit that feels exotic, luxurious, and is often praised for its health benefits.
9. Mango, sugar surges, and drug complications. For many seniors, mango feels like a tropical escape, a reward for eating well or sticking to a healthy routine. It's soft, fragrant, and full of natural sweetness. You'll see it sliced into fruit salads, blended into wellness smoothies, or dried and sold as a clean snack in health stores. Its bright orange color gives the impression that it's packed with goodness. And that's exactly how it's marketed. But here's the truth. For older adults, especially those managing cardiovascular disease, hypertension, or multiple prescriptions, mango can act like a hidden saboteur, quietly raising your risk of stroke. Here's why. Mango is one of the highest sugar fruits available in the American diet. Just 1 cup of ripe mango delivers close to 45 grams of natural sugar. That's more than many donuts. And unlike whole grains or fibrous carbs, the sugars in mango are absorbed rapidly, triggering sharp spikes in blood glucose, followed by insulin surges and eventual crashes. For older individuals dealing with insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, or fluctuating blood pressure, this rollercoaster effect can put serious strain on circulation, particularly in the brain. When glucose surges, your body reacts with inflammation. Arteries tighten, blood flow slows, and in the fragile vessels that supply your brain, this inflammation can cause microscopic cracks in the lining. When that happens, your body initiates repairs, forming blood clots to patch the damage. While that's a natural defense, in narrowed or rigid vessels, those clots can obstruct flow and set off a stroke. But the story doesn't end there. Mango doesn't just wreak havoc on blood sugar. It also contains certain compounds that interfere with your liver's ability to process medications, especially those prescribed for cholesterol, blood pressure, or heart rhythm. One compound in particular, mangiferin, has been shown in some research to slow the activity of the cytochrome P450 enzyme system, the very system your liver relies on to break down many prescription medications. When this system is slowed, your medications can accumulate, leading to excessive levels in the blood and increasing the risk of unwanted effects, interactions, or even toxicity. If you're on medications like amlodipine, metoprolol, or common statins, this interference could cause unexpected drops in blood pressure or irregular heart rhythms. Let me share the story of Mr. Charles Benson, 83 years old, a retired firefighter from Nevada. He took pride in staying active, taking daily walks, eating balanced meals, and always choosing foods that supported his heart. A few months back, he began snacking on dried mango each afternoon, thinking it was a smarter alternative to cookies. At the same time, he was taking medications for high blood pressure and atrial fibrillation. After a few weeks, Charles began experiencing morning dizziness. Then one morning, as he got out of bed, he collapsed. His wife found him pale, disoriented, and with a slight droop on the left side of his face. At the hospital, imaging revealed a minor ischemic stroke. Lab results showed that his blood pressure had fallen too low overnight and that his medication levels were elevated, even though he hadn't changed his dosage. When his physician and I reviewed the situation, the cause became clear. His daily intake of dried mango had placed a strain on his liver, interfering with how his medications were being broken down. At the same time, the sugar spikes from the fruit were creating ideal conditions for clot formation. Charles survived, but the stroke left him with lasting issues, reduced coordination, and impaired short-term memory. Now he lives with constant reminders that even a seemingly harmless food can have serious consequences.
This is why I strongly advise older adults to be cautious with tropical fruits like mango. Its sweetness hides its risks. The danger isn't just the sugar, it's how that sugar and certain natural compounds in the fruit interact with an aging body, a slowing metabolism, and the complex medications that many seniors rely on. Even just a few pieces, especially in dried form, can throw the body out of balance. So what's the safe way to enjoy mango? If you truly love it, limit yourself to just a few bites and only eat it during the day, never before bed. Always combine it with a source of protein or fat to reduce the blood sugar spike. And if you're taking any prescription medication, particularly for heart conditions, cholesterol, or blood pressure, speak to your doctor first. Mango may no longer be a safe choice for you at this stage in life, because as we age, our margin for error narrows. What your body tolerated at 35 or 45 might now lead to serious consequences, even when it comes from fruit. After hearing about these 9 seemingly innocent fruits, you may be wondering, what can I safely eat to support brain health, protect my heart, and still enjoy meals? Don't worry. In the final part of this series, I'll walk you through truly brain-safe foods, ones that protect memory, enhance balance, and won't interfere with your medications. No need for supplements, powders, or exotic ingredients. Just simple, wholesome foods and a bit of wisdom to guide your choices. Final reflection: the truth about fruit, aging, and protecting your brain. After reviewing 9 fruits that seem healthy, even beneficial, yet quietly increased stroke risk, it's understandable if you feel unsure or even misled. You've been told your entire life that fruit is nature's medicine, a gift from the earth, something inherently good and trustworthy. But for those of us over 60, the reality is more nuanced and much more critical to understand. Aging changes everything. Foods that once felt energizing and healing may now impact you very differently. Your kidneys filter more slowly. Your liver can no longer break down medications as efficiently. Your blood vessels grow more delicate and less elastic. And your brain, the most sensitive organ, becomes increasingly vulnerable to shifts in blood sugar, blood pressure, and clotting. That means every bite counts more than ever. Many older adults, with the best intentions, create daily habits that quietly raise their risk. A banana with pills, a bowl of grapes as a midday snack, pineapple after dinner, or orange juice with breakfast. These routines feel normal, even healthy, but beneath the surface, they can spark a chain reaction, silent, gradual, and invisible, that drives inflammation, narrows vessels, disrupts blood consistency, and in the worst cases, leads to clots that cut off oxygen to the brain. As a neurologist, I've seen what happens when these risks go unnoticed. I've treated patients who felt fine in the morning and ended their day in the intensive care unit. There are individuals who suddenly lost their ability to speak, to walk, or to recognize their family, all because of a blood clot no larger than a grain of rice striking at the worst possible moment. It's heartbreaking. And what makes it even harder is knowing that many of these tragedies could have been avoided, not with more medication, but through a better understanding of how aging and food choices interact. But here's the hopeful part. Not every fruit is harmful. In fact, when selected carefully and eaten mindfully, some fruits can be powerful tools for supporting brain function, cardiovascular health, and long-term independence. So what should you be including in your diet? First, berries. Blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries are naturally low in sugar and packed with antioxidants. They're especially rich in polyphenols, plant compounds that help strengthen blood vessels and reduce inflammation. They won't spike your blood sugar, won't interfere with medications, and can enhance memory and circulation in a gentle, natural way. Second, green apples, particularly varieties like Granny Smith. These have much less sugar than the sweeter types and are full of brain-boosting flavonoids. When paired with a bit of protein or healthy fat, like a slice of cheese or a spoonful of nut butter, they offer steady energy without dramatic crashes. Third, avocados. Though often treated as a vegetable, Avocados are technically a fruit. They're rich in healthy fats that help stabilize blood pressure and improve nerve function. While they do contain potassium, it's delivered in a slow, steady form, without the sharp sugar rush found in many sweet fruits. Fourth, lemons and limes. These aren't meant to be snacks, but are excellent for adding flavor and supporting liver detox.
And remember, timing matters. Always try to eat fruit earlier in the day. Avoid eating it on an empty stomach, and always pair it with some protein or healthy fat to slow down how quickly your body absorbs the sugars. Never eat fruit right before bed. Your body is entering rest mode and circulation slows down. That's when sugar or acidity can do the most damage, and you might not realize it until it's too late. Let me be absolutely clear, this isn't about fear. It's about honoring your age, your body, and the subtle signs it gives you. You are not weak, but you are different than you were, and that's okay. It doesn't mean giving up what you love. It means making thoughtful, informed decisions based on where you are now. After all, you've come this far through wisdom, care, and determination. Don't let a small oversight, like a piece of fruit, become a quiet threat to your well-being. Every bite you take has the power to support your vitality or quietly undermine it. So check labels, ask questions, and consider how food interacts with your medications, your body, and your future. Because the truth is, you're no longer just eating to survive. You're eating to remain sharp, stable, and strong, to preserve the essence of who you are. And with the right knowledge, the right fruits, and the right timing, you absolutely can remain wise, aware, and vibrant. Your brain pays close attention to what you feed it, so feed it the future you want to live in. These insights are here to help you live more fully and more consciously. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Take a moment to reflect and share one takeaway that you plan to put into practice in your daily life. Let's support each other in choosing wisely. If this message resonated with you, please comment 1 below. If it didn't, feel free to type 0. Your feedback helps us grow. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content that helps you live with strength, clarity, and intention. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.